What happens when a rebellious teen drops out of school, picks up a guitar, and ends up shaping the sound of rock music for generations? From Heathrow Airport shifts to headlining stadiums with Deep Purple and Rainbow, Ritchie Blackmore's life is as legendary as his riffs. Stick around as we uncover the twists, triumphs, and trials of a guitar god's journey. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you're ready to dive into the story behind the strings. Born on April 14, 1945 in Weston-super-Mare, England, Ritchie Blackmore grew up in a working-class family that would quietly shape the man who later electrified rock stages around the world. His father, Louis Blackmore, was a strict man who worked for the aircraft industry, and his mother, Violet, was a homemaker. Ritchie had one sibling, a brother named Paul. From a young age, Ritchie was both rebellious and curious, traits that surfaced when he left school at just 15, uninterested in academics, and driven by a restless energy that needed a direction. He took a job at Heathrow Airport as a radio aircraft mechanic, a stint that paid the bills, but did little to silence the pull of music inside him. Around this time, his father bought him his first guitar, but the condition was clear. He had to take it seriously and take lessons. That's when he turned to the influential British session guitarist Jim Sullivan, whose instruction laid the groundwork for Ritchie's deep technical proficiency and distinctive playing style. As a teenager, Blackmore's obsession with perfecting his craft led him into the shadows of London's blossoming rock and roll scene. He played in a string of session gigs and minor bands throughout the early 1960s, gradually gaining respect for his versatility and fierce precision on the guitar. But his breakthrough came in 1968 when he co-founded Deep Purple, a band that would become synonymous with hard rock and help shape the genre itself. As the band's guitarist, Ritchie wrote and recorded iconic tracks like Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, and Child in Time. His aggressive riffs and Baroque influences gave Deep Purple a sonic identity that was both ferocious and sophisticated. Yet Ritchie was never one to remain in place for long. In 1975, dissatisfied with the band's creative direction, he left to form Rainbow, blending classical flourishes with a harder rock edge. With Rainbow, he explored a more fantastical and melodic sound, delivering memorable songs like Man on the Silver Mountain and Stargazer, while also showcasing vocalists like Ronnie James Dio. Over the decades, Ritchie received numerous accolades for his work, including induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Deep Purple. Despite sometimes shunning awards and public recognition, his influence is undeniable. His income has streamed from record sales, royalties, live tours, and merchandise, placing his estimated net worth at around $16 million. He has invested wisely, owning several luxurious properties across Europe, including a grand countryside home in Long Island and a romantic medieval-style castle in Germany, where he lives a semi-reclusive life with his wife and musical partner, Candace Knight. His home reflects his deep fascination with the Renaissance era, filled with antique furniture, tapestries, and an entire floor dedicated to musical instruments. His homes reflect his taste for medieval aesthetics, rooms lined with antique weaponry, dark wood, stained glass, and acoustic-perfect spaces for jam sessions. He's been known to give the occasional house tour, revealing a life surrounded by ornate tapestries and custom guitars instead of modern minimalism. When it comes to luxury, Ritchie doesn't shy away. He's owned a collection of classic and high-end cars, favoring vintage Jaguars and Rolls-Royces over flashy sports models. Yet for all the rock star glam, he's always been somewhat of an eccentric loner, preferring privacy to paparazzi. His fashion mirrors that persona, often seen in flowing black shirts, velvet jackets, and medieval-inspired clothing that harken back to a different era. Offstage, Blackmore is known to indulge in quieter passions like playing chess, a game he's said to love for its strategy and solitude. He enjoys hearty European cuisine, with German dishes like bratwurst and sauerkraut ranking among his favorites, likely influenced by his time living in Germany. His favorite color? Deep, gothic shades, especially black and deep red, reflecting the darker romanticism he channels into his music. Blackmore's personal life has been as eventful as his career. He's been married multiple times, including to Margit Volkmar in the 1960s and then to Bärbel, a German woman he met during his time in Europe. But those early marriages eventually ended, often strained by his demanding career and intense personality. His most well-known and lasting relationship has been with Candace Knight, his longtime musical partner and now wife, whom he married in 2008 after more than a decade of companionship. Together, they have 2 children and also formed the Renaissance-inspired band Blackmore's Night, a softer musical venture that mirrors their real-life chemistry. Though his earlier marriages were marred by distance and creative differences, Ritchie has found a more peaceful, collaborative relationship with Candace, grounded in shared passions and parenthood. He has 3 children in total, and while he keeps his family life relatively private, he's often spoken with pride about watching his children grow. Ritchie Blackmore's story is one of constant reinvention, brilliant artistry, and a refusal to be pinned down by trends or expectations. From the smoky clubs of 1960s London to castle-like estates in the countryside, he's walked his own path, blending virtuosity with mystery. For fans old and new, his journey reminds us of the power of persistence, individuality, and passion. Whether you're discovering his riffs for the first time or revisiting the soundtrack of your youth, his legacy continues to inspire. So go on, dive back into his catalog, let the strings guide you, and rediscover the sound that changed rock forever. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next update.